I found a way to shift your energetic state so fast that reality reorganizes itself within days. I call it the bubble technique. It's the fastest energetic reset I know, one that shifts your field immediately and takes less than a minute to do. It works especially well on chronic, stuck, and situations that have been at a standstill. I'm going to show you how I found it. I'm going to tell you what happened when I used it, and then I'm going to walk you through it. So stick around. So years ago, I had moved into a home that had some mold in the basement. I found some black mold and I sourced it to the neighboring wall that was adjoining it. It was coming from, there was a bathroom that the neighbors had there, and there was some leak going on, and from that we had some mold going on. Now, months went by and we could not get anyone to move on this situation. And I remember talking to the homeowner that I was staying with at the time, and I said, you know, what's the deal with that? Have we gotten any update? We just kept going on our business and cleaning it and whatever. And we both started grumbling a little bit, you know, that these people hadn't moved on it, but we really didn't know what else to do. And the next morning, I felt kind of bad. You know, I had this resentment kind of building up with these people, and the situation wasn't moving anyway, and it just didn't feel good. So I asked my guides, I asked Spirit, and I said, you know, I don't feel very good about this, and I'm not wrong to feel the way I feel, but it just doesn't feel good. Like, can you please help me like move things? And my guides are very playful, and they said, hey, you want to try something? And I said, sure. And they said, okay, well, imagine a bubble, like a bubble that you would blow, and imagine that it's between a grapefruit and like a basketball. And I said, okay. And so in my mind, I imagined this bubble. And then they said, okay, pick a color. And I said, great. And I remember I picked something rose quartz colored. So I had this rose quartz bubble in front of my mind, or in my mind's eye. And then they said, okay, now we want you to give it a cold, hard classification. Just label it. No adjectives. And I was like, okay, this is the Meniyka, Mindy, Mark, and Mary mold situation. And they were like, great, that's a great label. Okay, now take this bubble and put it to your chest. And I was like, okay. And they're like, and now we want you to imagine that this is the most adorable puppy in the world. Maybe it's had an upset stomach or something like that, but it's asleep now. We want you to hold this bubble to your chest, and we just want you to pet this bubble as if it is the most adorable creature in the world to you. So my guides know that I absolutely love puppies, so that's probably why they used it. So of course, when you do this exercise yourself, you can do it with any kind of creature that you adore or something like that. And just imagine, you know, I had a bad day. So I do this for about 10, 15, 20 seconds, not long. And, you know, whatever, it's a very neutral kind of energy. It was very sweet, actually. And then they said, okay, release the bubble. And I was like, okay. I released the bubble in my mind. And then they were like, that's it. And I was like, we don't want to talk about it, process it, nothing. They're like, nope, that's it. And I was like, okay. Within 24 hours, plumbers had been sent by the neighbors to come take a look at, you know, our side of the wall and remedy the situation, remedy the source of the leak that was causing the mold. So that was pretty amazing. I was pretty blown away by that. But like most things in my life, I have to see what happens again, because maybe it's just coincidence. And later that week, I was thinking about a friend of mine that I usually talk to on a weekly basis for hours. And they had fallen out of touch, and it had been months. And I knew they were going through some personal things, but I was starting to think to myself, I said, gosh, I don't know, did I rub them the wrong way? Did something happen? Like, what's going on? And in my mind, when I was thinking these thoughts, I remember I was heading out of the house. I was about to go for a walk. It was in summer. And my guides were like, don't go there. Don't go there. Actually, I feel like it was JC, for those of you who resonate with that. I can't say for sure, but it really held like JC's energy. And it was like, don't go there. Why don't you try that bubble technique? And I was like, okay, yeah, let's try that. So I'm going to substitute names again. I'm going to say this is my friend, Darla. And so I was like, okay, this is me and Darla. I imagine a bubble. I don't remember what color I chose. You don't have to choose a color anyway. I imagine that this bubble represents me and Darla, and that's it. I was like, this is me and Darla. I take the bubble, I put it to my chest, and I just pet this bubble like it's the most adorable puppy in the world. Then I let it go. I'm about 10 minutes through my walk outside. I haven't even made it around the neighborhood. And lo and behold, who calls me? My friend calls me, and we end up talking for a few hours and catching up. So this was my introduction to the bubble technique or the pet your puppy technique, whatever works for you. And these were the immediate results. And I use this for so many things now. I just used it recently. There was someone in my life that it felt a little bristly or energy with. So I did the bubble technique on us. And I kid you not, within 48 hours, I noticed a definitive change in their energy towards me. And maybe on a subtle level, my energy changed. I don't know. But either way, that's what happened. And my guides explained that the way this works is it's kind of like you're approaching this holographic representation, because we're all connected, and you're applying a neutral kind of unconditional love to it, okay? It's like for one moment, you're breaking the pattern of whatever you've been feeling before, and you're feeling it in a new way. And that's all it takes. They're saying that kind of energy is almost like stitching. And they're showing me sand kind of like falling into any cracks, leveling everything out. Wherever there can be leveling done, it kind of levels it, it neutralizes it. And then because this universe operates on non-resistance, right? We either flow with the stream or we just don't resist the stream. And this non-resistance just allows things, the energy to move. So the first thing I noticed with the bubble technique is I feel better. There's a huge shift in the energy around yourself in relationship to whatever it is that you've chosen. And the second thing is that the reflection often shows the shift in a manifestation or an actualization. You know, it's said that manifestation is instant because the moment you decide or make the movement internally or the choice, the bridge of events is there right before you. And it's just about going along with the stream in non-resistance before you see the reflection update in the mirror. So that is the amazing bubble technique. I'm going to do a very short walkthrough with it. It doesn't take more than 30 seconds, of course. If you're driving or something like that, you'll have to wait till later. But of course, please circle back around and try it at home. So essentially, for those of you who are sitting and able to do this, if you're in a quiet space, I like to do this with my eyes closed. So you go ahead, you close your eyes. Okay, pick something in your life. It can be any situation. It can be a relationship. It can even be yourself in relationship to something. You pick that thing. Now imagine it as a bubble. This bubble includes all aspects of it. You don't have to spend a lot of time. Just label it. No adjectives. We're not here to like create a bias in this. So it's just a cold, hard classification. Keyword search only. And label your bubble. If you want, you can pick a color. And then put it to your chest, to your heart. And just for the next 10 seconds, just pet this bubble as if it's the most adorable creature in the world, as if it's sleeping. It's finally settled down. And you're just soothing it as you would any creature, maybe like a colicky baby that's been up all night and finally is just super quiet and soothed. You're just sending that kind of energy. Don't be surprised if the energy gets really still. It almost feels like church. For those of you who are attuned and feel energy that way. And after another few seconds, you can take a breath. One last holding for this bubble, neutral energy. We're not trying to force anything. And we just release it. That's it for the walkthrough for the bubble technique. You don't need to think about it again. Now, if you do get deeper into this, if you play around with it, sometimes old memories will come up. One time I was using this for some pattern, some stuckness in my life. And so I was holding it. I was like holding this version of myself with this pattern, this stuckness pattern. And as I held it, it was very interesting. I felt an energy kind of in my sacral chakra region, okay? And then I had some memories that floated to the surface of when I was a tumbler, a gymnast in My early teenage years, I wasn't a gymnast for very long. I gave it a go in high school. It was pretty rough because I started late. I was very flexible, but my coordination wasn't so good. And I'm not even sure on the, I could probably process that and see the connection between that particular situation that I felt stuck in and this earlier memory. But what I did was I just applied the bubble technique to that. So you can just kind of nest your bubbles. So if a memory comes up or something like that, then you can hold that memory or that bubble or that version of yourself or those people or that situation, and you just do the same thing just for 10 to 15 seconds, just a neutral, unconditional love. And of course you can do it longer than 15 seconds. And that's it. That's how it goes. And that's how you can really energetically shift your reality. And it's first going to show up in your feelings and then in the reflection. I can't wait to hear how this goes for you all. Please like, subscribe, share, and comment. Share how you plan to use it. If you did use it today in the video, please share what you used it on if you feel comfortable. And then please circle back and let us know the results. What happened in your reality after you used this most powerful, amazing bubble technique? Came straight from spirit. I'm sure there's other people in the world who have used things like this. And if you are interested in coaching, Akashic record readings, or visionary art, you'll find that information in the description box. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you in the next message.